I was in the produce aisle of the whole foods on Westheimer holding a cantaloupe. Like it was a math problem. One hand under the melon, the other thumbing my phone, trying to decode a parent-teacher message that read, Friday, class party. Please bring fruit. Fruit. Great. Simple. Except the next line said, and a small item for the prize box. And my brain, already fried from a morning that included a spilled yogurt, a lost shoe, and my daughter insisting her hair felt wrong, got stuck on the phrase small item like it was a trick question. I stood there whisper reading it to myself when I heard a voice that made my stomach go cold. Evan, oh my God, Evan Park? The cantaloupe became dead weight in my hand. I turned slowly, and there she was. Not a memory. Not an old notification I could ignore. Tessa Hart, same glossy honey blonde waves. Same perfectly blended makeup. Same energy of a person who never had to check her bank. Balance before ordering add-ons. She had a basket with 4 things in it. Kombucha, arugula, some cheese with a fancy label, and 1 lemon like she'd selected it personally. She looked me over from my face down to my rumpled polo that had survived a yogurt explosion, then to my jeans, then to the reusable tote bag on my wrist with cartoon dinosaurs. Her smile widened and I recognized it immediately. Not the old smile, the new one. The one that says, I'm about to feel better about my choices. Wow, she said. You look tired. Yeah, I said. That's what happens when your 7-year-old decides 6:03 a.m. is the perfect time to practice recorder. She made a sound that could have been a laugh or sympathy. You're still doing the full-time dad thing? The words hit like a slap. The full-time dad thing? Like it was a phase. Like it was a hobby. My kid's name is Harper, I said. And yeah, I'm still raising her. Oh my God, Tessa said, hand to her chest like she was performing concern. Of course. I didn't mean it like that. I nodded. Sure. She tilted her head, eyes narrowing in that way people do when they're taking inventory. So what are you doing now? You still at that startup? The mental health app you wouldn't stop talking about? The startup that died 6 months after she left. The one I worked 80-hour weeks to keep alive. The one she said was stealing my attention while I was trying to build a future. No, I said. I'm at Castellano Industries. The name made her blink. She tried not to show it, failed. At Castellano? She repeated. Doing what? I held up my phone like it explained my life. Executive assistant to the CEO. There it was. The flicker, assistant, not founder. Not VP, not anything she could brag about. Her smile tightened. That sounds stable. The way she said stable made it sound like a consolation prize. I'm only in Houston a few weeks, she added. I'm seeing someone here, Miles, commercial real estate. Of course. We're closing on a place in River Oaks, she said. Like that should change the temperature of the room. Congrats, I said. She glanced at my dinosaur bag again. I'm glad you're making it work. Making it work. Like I'd built my life out of duct tape and luck. She leaned closer, voice low. We should grab coffee sometime. Catch up. It was the kind of line people use when they want to feel generous without doing anything. Maybe, I said. Tessa touched my arm, light, familiar, practiced. It's really good to see you, Evan. Then she turned and walked away like she'd done her good deed for the day. I stood there holding a cantaloupe, feeling exactly like I had years ago, when she handed back my key and said she needed to find herself. I dropped the cantaloupe into my cart like it offended me and kept shopping. On the drive home, I texted my best friend Jace, just ran into Tessa at Whole Foods. She's still herself. He responded immediately. Did you tell her about your boss, though I didn't answer? Mostly because Harper was in the back seat singing the chorus from Encanto for the 100th time, and I was trying not to miss the turn. But also because why would I tell Tessa anything? Here's the thing about Adrian Castellano. He's one of those people whose money feels theoretical. The kind of rich where a billionaire sounds like a word from a documentary. Castellano Industries owned pieces of Houston that most people just drove past without thinking. Real estate, energy, manufacturing, investments, everything. The kind of empire that makes the skyline look like a receipt. And Adrian? He wasn't what you'd expect. I started 18 months ago, when my startup folded and I needed health insurance and predictable hours and something stable enough to build Harper's life around. The job posting said executive assistant, organized, discreet, manage complex schedules. It didn't say I'd be saving a CEO from accidentally taking meetings while walking into traffic. But it happened. Twice. Adrian paid well. He didn't treat me like a servant. He didn't pretend his wealth was normal. He didn't act like he was doing me a favor by employing me. He was blunt, irritatingly observant, and too attractive in a way that felt unfair. Tall, dark hair that never stayed. Perfectly styled, calm eyes. That sharp, clean face people called chiseled. I tried not to think about it. He was my boss. I was his assistant. We were professional. So professional that when he walked into my office on Monday and said, "My gala date canceled," I nodded like my heart didn't immediately do something stupid. He leaned on my doorframe like he belonged there. "I need you to come with me to the mayor's gala next week," he said. I blinked. "Excuse me?" "It's not a date," he said quickly. "I need someone who knows my schedule and can help me avoid certain conversations. I'm a human shield." "A highly competent human shield," he corrected. "I have a child," I said. "I'm aware," he said without hesitation. That sentence hit harder than it should have. Not just because he knew, because he remembered. He didn't say it like it was a problem. He said it like it was part of me, like it mattered. "I'll pay you," he added. "I'm salaried. I'll pay you extra." Define extra. Adrian smiled. "Wear something nice. I'll have an outfit sent over." 3 nights later, I stood in my apartment staring at a garment bag from Neiman Marcus like it was a crime scene. Inside was a midnight blue suit that looked like it belonged to someone who owned property in multiple time zones. A note was pinned to it. "This should fit. If it doesn't, my tailor is on standby." It fit perfectly, which somehow felt worse. Jace came over to babysit Harper and immediately started laughing. "You look like you're about to get proposed to by a billionaire." "I look like I'm about to stand next to one while he forgets my name," I said. And yet you're glowing." "I am not glowing." Harper walked in, took one look at me, and gasped like I was a Disney prince. "Dad, you look like a fancy lawyer." "I am not a lawyer." "You look like you say objection a lot." "Thank you," I said. "Now please don't spill juice on me." She hugged me anyway, careful, like she understood expensive even if she couldn't define it. Then the driver arrived. Because of course Adrian had a driver. The car smelled like leather and quiet money. Adrian was already inside, wearing a tux, cufflinks catching the light. He looked up as I slid in. "Evan," he said, and the way he said my name felt personal. "You clean up well. You sent me something that costs more than my car." "I sent you something appropriate for the venue," he said, but his mouth twitched like he was trying not to smile. "Thank you for doing this." I shrugged. "Jace is with Harper. They're probably breaking 3 bedtime rules." "Good," Adrian said softly. "She deserves fun." He said it like he meant it. Not like charity. Like he understood what it was to miss the good parts. We pulled up to the Museum of Fine Arts and the place looked unreal. Lights, cameras, people moving like they belonged in magazines. I did not belong. Adrian did. He leaned slightly toward me as we walked in. "Stay close." "Because you're afraid I'll get lost?" "Because you're better at reading rooms than I am," he said. "And because people assume you matter if you're beside me." That was Adrian. Blunt truths like he didn't realize how much power they carried. We made it 15 feet before the first handshake. Then another. Then another. I did what I always did. Managed his schedule. Quietly corrected names. Redirected conversations. Saved him from people who thought a gala was a networking cage match. I was good at being invisible. Until I wasn't. Because across the room near the bar, I saw her, Tessa, standing beside a tall guy in a suit that looked like he'd purchased it specifically to say, "I've never questioned my future." He had one of those teeth-whitening smiles. Commercial real estate energy. Tessa laughed at something he said. Then her eyes tracked. She saw me. Her laugh died mid-breath. She whispered something to the guy, Miles, I assumed, and started walking toward us like she'd just been given a mission. The old panic rose. The urge to become small. To explain myself. To justify my life. I hated that urge. "Tessa," I muttered. Adrian didn't ask who. He just looked where I looked. And then, like he heard my heartbeat, he stepped closer. Tessa arrived with her perfect smile and her perfect timing. "Evan," she said brightly. "What are you doing here?" "I'm here with Adrian Castellano," Adrian said, appearing beside me like a high-end ghost. His hand settled at my lower back. Not heavy, not aggressive. Just there. My brain glitched. Tessa's eyes widened. Real uncontrollable surprise. She looked at Adrian, then at me, then back at Adrian like she was trying to translate something. "I'm Tessa," she said, and then quickly, Evan and I dated years ago. Ah, Adrian said pleasantly, still smiling. But I could hear the blade under it. He glanced at me. You're the one who left him with the IKEA furniture and the goldfish. I froze. I had told Adrian that story once, late at night, exhausted. Joking about how Harper named the fish, Waffles, and how Harper held a funeral in a cereal bowl when it died. I hadn't expected Adrian to remember. Tessa's smile cracked at the edges. It was amicable. I'm sure it was, Adrian said, polite, deadly. Evan, didn't we have the mayor at 8:30? I fumbled for my phone like it could save me. Adrian turned to Tessa. Lovely meeting you. Enjoy your evening. Then he guided me away before she could recover. We didn't stop until we reached a quieter gallery with art that looked like it had security. I exhaled. What was that? Adrian looked almost entertained. What was what? The hand, I hissed. The protective billionaire thing. You looked uncomfortable, he said simply. I was helping. By making her think we're together? I didn't say we were together, he said. I simply didn't correct the assumption. He took 2 champagne flutes from a passing tray and handed me one like it was normal. Then he said casually, Your ex measures people and assets. I stared. You're guessing? I watched her eyes, he said. She looked at your suit before she looked at your face. It landed because it was true. Adrian lifted his glass. For the record, she's an idiot. Because she left me? Because she had you, he said, and she didn't understand what she had. My throat went tight. I tried to say something normal. Something professional? Instead, I said nothing. A woman in a silver dress swooped in and pulled Adrian into a conversation about development projects. He flipped back into CEO mode, smooth and controlled. But as we moved through the crowd, his hand kept finding my back, my shoulder, brief, guiding touches that made no sense if they were only for show. Around 9:30, I went to the restroom. When I came back out, Tessa was waiting like she'd planned it. Okay, she said. Explain. Explain what? Adrian Castellano, she said his name like it tasted expensive. You're his assistant? Yes. And he touches all his employees like that? It wasn't. Tessa stepped closer and lowered her voice. I'm not judging. I'm impressed. That word made my skin crawl. I'm happy you're impressed, I said. She didn't hear the tone. Look, she said. I've been thinking about us. And maybe I made a mistake. I laughed once. Couldn't help it. Her eyes flashed. What? Tessa, I said calmly. You didn't make a mistake. You left because my life was inconvenient. That's not fair. It's accurate. She touched my arm again, like old muscle memory. I'm in town. Miles is fine, but he's boring. Maybe we could get coffee. For real. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. Before I could answer, Adrian's voice cut in. There you are. He appeared like he'd been watching for me. He handed me a fresh champagne. Flute and didn't even look at. Tessa, the mayor's asking for you, Adrian said to me smoothly. Something about the charity auction. Tessa blinked. The mayor knows Evan? Of course, Adrian said like it was obvious. Evan coordinates most of my charitable giving. The mayor's wife adores him. That was news. I'd talked to the mayor's assistant twice. Adrian's hand landed on my shoulder. Come on. He steered me away, and once we were out of earshot, I hissed, The mayor's wife does not adore me. She will, Adrian said. You're making this up. I'm creating opportunity, he corrected. There's a difference. And why are you doing that? I asked. Adrian stopped walking. We were in a quiet gallery now, surrounded by art I couldn't name. He turned to face me. His expression shifted from playful to serious so fast it made my stomach flip. Evan, he said, can I say something that might make this awkward? Tonight has already made a strong commitment to awkward, I said. A flicker of a smile. Then he said, I've wanted to fire you for 6 months. My blood went cold. What? Not because you're bad at your job, he said quickly. Because you're too good at it. That's not comforting. It's unethical, he said like he was discussing a contract. Keeping you as my assistant when I feel the way I feel. My brain went blank. What way? I asked, voice thinner than I wanted. Adrian stepped closer. Not crowding. Just closing the distance enough that I could feel him. I ask you to stay late when I don't need you, he said quietly. I text you about pizza toppings at midnight. I sent you to Austin because you said once you'd never been and you wanted to see it. I bought you a suit. You said it was for the gala. It was for you, he corrected. The gala was the excuse. I stared at him, unable to move. All my instincts screamed power dynamic, risk, complication. Under that, something softer whispered he's telling the truth. Adrian exhaled like he'd been holding this in for months. I'm not good at personal things, he admitted. My life has been outcomes, control, acquisition, but you… He stopped, like the next words mattered too much. You make me want to be better, he finished. I felt my chest tighten. You're my boss, I said, because it was the only anchor my brain could find. And you're the first person in a long time who talks to me like I'm human, he said. Not a bank account. Not a headline. Not a trophy, he paused. You have a kid. And you love her with your whole life. You show up. You sacrifice. You don't use her as a prop. Do you know how rare it is to watch someone do that without needing applause? I couldn't speak. Adrian stepped back, giving me space like he was proving he could. I'm not asking you to answer right now, he said. I just needed you to know. The only thing I managed was, you remember my daughter's schedule. Adrian's mouth softened. I do. We finished the gala in a blur. Adrian introduced me to the mayor, who was surprisingly normal and joked about Houston traffic. The mayor's wife actually did like me, mostly because Harper's school was the same school her granddaughter attended, and I knew every lyric to every Encanto song. Tessa tried to intercept us one more time. Adrian saw her coming and redirected us to a side exit like it was chess. In the car ride home, silence filled the space between us. Not awkward silence. The kind that felt like a question. Adrian's hand found mine in the space between us. Just rested there. No pressure. When we reached my building, he didn't follow me out. He just looked at me. Think about it, he said. Whatever you decide, your job is safe. I'm not that man. I know, I said. And I did. I went upstairs. Jace was asleep on the couch, the TV still playing. Harper was in her room, sprawled across her bed with her stuffed dinosaur tucked under her chin. Everything was normal. And yet my whole life felt tilted. I thought about Adrian for 3 days. And those 3 days were torture because Adrian didn't push. He didn't flirt. He didn't hint. He acted exactly like my boss, calm, precise, respectful, which somehow made it harder. On the 4th day, I messaged him, "Can you stay late? Need to discuss scheduling." He replied almost immediately, "Of course." When the office emptied, I walked into his office and closed the door. Adrian looked up from his laptop. "You didn't stay late to discuss scheduling," he said. "No," I admitted. "I didn't." Adrian folded his hands. "Okay," I took a breath. "I have questions. Ask." "If this goes wrong," I said, "what happens? If we try this and it crashes and burns?" Adrian didn't hesitate. "Then we handle it like adults," he said. "I don't punish people emotionally. I won't weaponize your job, and if you ever felt uncomfortable, we stop." "What about Harper?" I asked. His expression softened immediately. "What about her?" he asked gently. "She's 7, I said. "She's been through enough. I can't bring someone into her life unless I'm sure." "I'm not asking you to," Adrian said. "I'm asking if there's a possibility of us, slowly, carefully, with boundaries. And when you feel ready, then we talk about meeting her." I swallowed. "People will talk." "They already talk," he said dryly. "Then quieter, but if it helps, we do it properly. HR disclosure. Full transparency. No secrets." "You've thought about this," I said. "I've thought about nothing else," he admitted. I stared at him. The man who could buy anything wanted permission. Permission to be close. To be chosen. "Okay," I said. Adrian's eyes sharpened. "Okay?" "Okay," I repeated, voice steadier. "We try, slowly, carefully, with communication. And yes, probably therapy." Adrian's mouth twitched. "I have an excellent therapist." "Of course you do," I said. He stood and walked around the desk. Not rushing, not claiming. He stopped in front of me like he was waiting for a clear answer. "Can I kiss you?" he asked. I blinked, caught off guard by the tenderness of the question. "Yes," I said. "You can." He kissed me like he meant it. Not like a man taking something, like a man receiving something he'd been afraid to ask for. When he pulled back, he exhaled, and I saw it. Real nerves. "I'm going to be bad at this," he admitted. "The kissing was fine," I said. He laughed, and it made the room feel warmer. "I mean the relationship," he said. "I work too much. I try to fix problems with money. I forget I'm allowed to need people." I nodded. "And I'm going to be bad at this too." "How?" he asked. "I don't ask for help," I said. I hoard responsibility like it's oxygen. Adrian held my gaze. Then we learn. Together, I said. We dated quietly at first, not hiding like we were doing something wrong, just protecting Harper's stability until I was sure. We did dinners, walks, movies, real conversations, slow ones. Adrian learned to show up without turning everything into a grand gesture. I learned to breathe without feeling like I had to earn love through exhaustion. We fought sometimes, about scheduling, about his instinct to throw money at every problem, about my refusal to accept help even when I was drowning. But the difference was we didn't punish each other. We talked, we repaired. 8 months later, I told Adrian I was ready. We met Harper at the aquarium, neutral territory. Child-friendly, easy exit if things went wrong. Harper clung to my hand at first, eyes scanning Adrian like she was collecting data. Adrian crouched slightly to meet her height, careful not to loom. "Hi, Harper," he said. "Your dad says you're the smartest person he knows." Harper narrowed her eyes. "He says that when he wants me to eat broccoli." Adrian blinked, then smiled. "That's a fair point." Harper studied him. Then she asked very seriously, "Have you ever seen Finding Nemo?" Adrian paused like he was considering lying. Then he chose truth. "No," he admitted. "I haven't." Harper gasped like he'd confessed to a crime. "You've never seen Finding Nemo?" "Never." "That's sad," she said. "It is sad," Adrian agreed solemnly. "We need to fix that," Harper decided instantly, turning to me. "Dad, he has to come over today." I looked at Adrian. He looked at me. And I realized this was the real test. Not the gala. Not office gossip. Not Tessa. This letting Harper decide if Adrian belonged. "If your dad says it's okay," Adrian said carefully, giving the power back to me. I swallowed. "Yeah," I said. "It's okay." That night, Adrian came over. He didn't bring gifts. He didn't show up with a ridiculous catered meal. He brought pizza and asked Harper what toppings were approved. Harper explained her rules like she was briefing a new employee. During the movie, Adrian teared up at the end. Harper noticed and whispered loudly, "He's sensitive." "She means that as a compliment," I whispered. "I'll take it," Adrian whispered back. When Harper fell asleep on the couch halfway through the second movie, Adrian picked her up without asking and carried her to bed like he'd done it 100 times. When he came back, he looked at me like the air had changed. "She's amazing," he said. "She is," I agreed. Adrian hesitated, then said, "I'm not trying to replace anyone. I'm not trying to be a role." "I know," I said. He swallowed. "I want to be part of your life. If you'll let me." And I felt it, clear as a bell. Not the rush of a new romance. The calm of something earned. "I'll let you," I said. 2 years later, we got married. Small ceremony. Close friends, family. Harper was the flower. Girl and took her job like it was a mission. Jace was my best man and delivered a speech that included, "I told you so," more times than necessary. The reception was at Adrian's house, our house now, and I still sometimes walked into rooms and felt like I was trespassing in someone else's life. But then Harper ran through the hallway laughing. Then Adrian caught my eye across the room and smiled. Soft, private, real. And the house stopped feeling like a museum. It felt like a home. At one point, I stepped outside onto the terrace to breathe. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. A photo of a card. No return address. Just words, "Congratulations. I'm happy for you." I didn't need to guess who. I stared at it for a long second, expecting old emotions to rise. They didn't. Adrian stepped out behind me and slipped his arms around my waist. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Just full." He kissed my temple. "Good." I hesitated. "Tessa sent a card." Adrian's eyebrows lifted. "Really?" "I think she meant it." Adrian hummed. "Does it matter?" I looked back through the glass doors, Harper dancing with Jace, laughing so hard she had to stop and catch her breath. "No," I said. "It doesn't." We went back inside. Later that night, after the last guest left and Harper finally fell asleep in her room, Adrian and I sat on the couch. The same couch where we'd watched Finding Nemo, where we'd had our first fight about money, where he'd proposed on a random Tuesday because he said he couldn't wait for a right moment. "What are you thinking?" Adrian asked. "Cantaloupes," I said. He blinked. "That's random." "I was holding a cantaloupe when I ran into Tessa," I said. "That's how this whole chain started." Adrian smiled slowly. "So our relationship exists because of produce." "And because you couldn't keep your hand off my back at a gala," I said. "That was strategic," he replied. That was possessive. He leaned in. Can it be both? I kissed him. Yeah, it can be both. A small sound came from the hallway. Harper shuffled in, clutching her dinosaur, eyes half closed. Dad, she mumbled. Adrian, I had a bad dream. I opened my arms. Come here, kiddo. She climbed between us instantly. Adrian pulled a blanket over all three of us, like it was the most natural thing in the world. What was the dream? He asked softly. Harper yawned. I don't remember now. Good, Adrian said. Bad dreams don't deserve to be remembered. Harper nodded like that made sense and fell asleep in minutes. Adrian looked at me over her head and smiled that soft, private smile that still made my chest hurt in the best way. And I thought back to Whole Foods, to the cantaloupe, to the moment I felt judged and small and behind. I'd thought my life was falling apart. It wasn't. It was clearing space for something better, something real, something that fit.